And away we go. Welcome in, everybody. It is time for Three Guys Before the Game. It's the wrap-up of West Virginia's contest against the Horned Frogs of TCU and our preview of Saturday's date against the Texas Longhorns. This is episode 435. The official title, for those of you probably entering these in the Library of Congress, is Frogs Croak, Longhorns Next. That's what it is. You can see where we're going there. Senator is in. Kercheval remains in the capital city, where he's just trying to make lawmakers do whatever it is lawmakers do this time of the year. That's what he's doing. He'll be back with us next Monday. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center. They are the only warranty forever RV dealer in West Virginia. You know, Senator, I was thinking of it coming down the steps today. You know what thought hit me in the head? If you're going to buy a recreational vehicle, why wouldn't you buy it there? Seriously, like I'm thinking well, wait a second, why wouldn't you get it there? The warranty lasts forever.
So that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like,
right.
Why
would you not want that insurance and that coverage?
Yeah, I want that forever. Yeah, you gonna do that forever? Yeah. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. That's burdettcamping.com, located in Winfield. Three Guys Before the Game is also brought to us by our buddy Bob and the tremendous folks at Comax Business Systems. They happen to be an elite dealer. We're just not saying that. We're saying it because ENX Magazine has named them the elite dealer 10 times, and no other business in West Virginia has ever received that award once. They've got it 10 times. And what can they do for you? Well, if you need it in your office, they got it, equipment-wise. And if you need your IT managed for you and your voice services managed for you, they do that as well. 24/7 remote monitoring, and they're simple to get a hold of. And what they do literally touches all 55 counties in the state, the people that they're involved with across the entire state. Visit them at comaxwv.com. I also had another thought about them.
About Comax?
Yeah.
Okay. What?
Just having these thoughts. We need to go see him. We need to go down there.
Yeah, I'm in.
Like, just stop in. Because they got friendly people. Every year when I go down inside the huddle, they always are there, and we do like a team picture. He's got all of his folks that work for him there. They come up there. We get our picture made.
You get your picture made.
Get your picture made with him. Yeah. So that's that. And then when
we'll put that on the list.
Yeah. We'd like to do that. Go visit Bob. And then when we come back up,
probably would just be the two of us. I don't know if Kercheval will go. I mean, he's already down there. I don't know that he can. He goes from there to the hotel and back.
Yeah. Heard about that. Anyway, we're not even going to get into the hotel situation he has down there. He went to one place, and he's not going to go to that place anymore because it's just stop. That was a great old man. That was a great old man thing when he told us about switching the hotel. So why switching the hotel? Yeah, he gets all browed up. He says, well, one, they don't start serving breakfast until 7:30. I'm at the Capitol at 7. They don't stop breathing. Okay, fine. Anyway, when we go visit Comax, we're going up the road. Obviously, we're going to take the interstate. And how many Go-Marts are we going to pass by on the way back up the road?
A bunch.
A bunch of Go-Marts.
Yeah.
And, of course, the absolute epicenter of Go-Marts in West Virginia.
That'd be the flagship?
Flagship. Now, they're based out of Gasaway, which is exit 62, just 62 seconds off exit 62. But you just go up to Flatwoods.
Right.
That's the epicenter Go-Mart. And they're also a sponsor of this program. And when you need to go for good times, you go for Go-Mart. And they'll save you money as well by just going to the website, gomart.com, and get one of their cards so that when you go there to get fuel, benzine, and what other fuel substances along with food, you can save money, which is always a nice thing.
Makes that fly rod Slim Jim a little bit cheaper, or you get rewards.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what.
You can buy a couple of them.
You can get whatever you need. Just visit them. Find folks at Gomart, gomart.com. Well. Look what we have here from last night. I've got myself a stat sheet for the first time in the new year that West Virginia finishes with more points than the other team at the end of the game. 74-65. Just amazing, isn't it, when you think about it? So here comes TCU on the heels of a 20-plus point victory over a good Kansas State team. And West Virginia, as you all know, was 0-5 in league play. And the Senators said it on Monday's show. Don't be surprised if the odds makers have West Virginia as the favorite. And we said, wait a second. Hang on, timeout here. 30-second timeout. TCU is 14th in the country. West Virginia is winless in the league. Gloom and doom. And you're saying that West Virginia is going to be a favorite? How say that? How dare say that? And yet they were. Did it go at 2.5 off?
It did.
Went off at 2.5.
Yep, West Virginia favored.
So it goes at 2.5. And West Virginia comes out and cracks TCU up 15 at the end of the first half, led by as many as 18 in this game with a minute to go in the first half. And then, well, then it got real interesting.
Got a little tight. Got a little tight in the second half.
Had a little bit of a problem there. Now, the Mountaineers came about as close as you can to giving up the lead, but they didn't. They ended up winning the time of score lead, 37 minutes and 45 seconds, West Virginia led. So almost wire to wire, similar to Oklahoma on Saturday. Oklahoma never surrendered the lead.
Pretty good game control, as that's often called.
Right.
Good game control.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have that on your stuff, on your analytics. Game control. Hadn't heard that one. I didn't hear about the luck factor until the last episode. You just keep bringing me categories.
Well, we're going to talk about that. Luck factor's in our review that we'll get to.
Yeah. So West Virginia leads it for 37-45 off the clock. And what we do now is we go back and we say, what were the keys to the game according to the analytics, and then did they come true? Because we are on a mission to show that the numbers are for real. We are here to show that what you oftentimes think in your heart isn't reality. But for the most part, the numbers are going to prove to be true. But we had some pretty interesting changes yesterday in that game that you wouldn't have thought would happen just off face value. And one of those would be fast break points. When you looked at fast break points and you saw that TCU was number one in the country at 22 a game, as a fan of WVU, you said, ooh, this isn't good. They're going to roll it. But we'll get into that in a second. It never happened. Final 74-65. Two guys that you didn't probably have as your leading scorers were Kedrian Johnson and Jimmy Bell. Put a night together. They scored almost half of West Virginia's points, 35 of the 74. Collectively, they were 10 of 15 from the field, 15 of 16 at the foul line. And Jimmy, with those great feet, had 12 rebounds to go along with 15 points. Double-doubled. So let's jump in. And then after this, we're going to do the Longhorns preview, and then after that, we're going to go into textual healing. So, what was your first key to the game?
So on Monday when we talked about this game, we went through three keys. The first was we talked transition. As you mentioned, TCU number one nationally, so of course they were number one in the Big 12 in transition offense. West Virginia's defense, though, was sixth. So wasn't elite, but it certainly wasn't bottom of the league. So we said at that time, West Virginia's going to have to get back in transition. And if you can limit them on the fast break and limit them from pushing it, you've got a chance to be in this game. TCU was held to 8 fast break points, 0 at halftime, if I'm not mistaken, when West Virginia jumped to that lead. So mission accomplished right there. You held a transition team that wants to run, that wants to get out, that wants to push pace. You held them in check. That's number one. Number two, we said offensive rebounds are going to be a key. TCU came into the game leading the Big 12 in points per game off of offensive rebounds against West Virginia's 7th ranked in the league defensive rebounding team. You've got to keep them off the glass. And then the other part of that was they were very good in scoring on their second chances. They were very good at making those shots. So you had to protect the offensive glass. You did. TCU with only 4, Tony, on the day. 4. That was a 5th percentile game performance on a scale of 1 to 100. West Virginia did a great job there. Then the second part of that, the caveat into offensive rebounds was not only do you have to hold them, but you should be able to get on the glass against the Frogs. And I asked the question, can West Virginia take advantage? TCU is a team that gives up offensive rebounds. West Virginia took advantage, had 14 on the night, an 84th percentile game on the offensive glass, so you won that key. Number 3, free throws, which again, the disclaimer, we'll talk about this pretty much every game with West Virginia. We said going in, we said on Monday, both teams are going to get to the line here. So can you make some hay? Can you finally make free throws? You need to convert those opportunities when you get to the line. There were 52 combined free throws in this game, 41 fouls. West Virginia's free throw attempt rate was in the 86th percentile nationally. TCU's was in the 96th percentile. But did West Virginia make free throws, Tony?
They did, Brad. The final numbers show that the Mountaineers made 20 of 26 for 77% at the free throw stripe.
You'll take it. So there it is. So take those 3 keys that we said, here's what you're going to have to do to beat TCU, and you got a check, and a check. Handled them all.
Do your analytics ever break down free throw shooting in the late stages of games?
No.
Okay. So in the last 7 minutes last night, West Virginia went 8 out of 10 at the foul line. We talked about the stat in the last episode where West Virginia was just a couple of notches above 50% at the free throw line in the final 5 minutes of the previous 5 Big 12 games. Well, last night they made their foul shots. Caridi, 10 of 10. Jimmy Bell, who was struggling under 50% at the foul line in league play, went 5 of 6. And there's your game. They go 15 out of 16. You miss those foul shots, when it's 62-60, we're sitting here today going West Virginia's lost 6 in a row. That was the game.
Mm-hmm. 2 other things let's talk about here. Number 1, you mentioned the luck factor that we talked about last week, and West Virginia just wasn't having any of it. So that goes back to, based on the efficiency numbers they had, the shots they were getting, you would have expected West Virginia to have won a couple of games at least in the Big 12, not be 0-5 coming in. Well, I think you saw that last night, right? You saw shots begin to fall. You saw free throws begin to fall, and it was a game you controlled, as you just pointed out. So that luck started to change. What we talked about was West Virginia was 348th out of 361, 62 teams in Division I. That's probably not going to stay that way. There's going to be some, quote, positive regression that comes, and I think last night was one of those examples. A team that you would have thought on paper you're not going to beat TCU, you in fact did and controlled that game the whole way. Here was another key to this. I found this interesting. 52% of West Virginia's shot attempts were at the rim. More than half of its shots came at the rim. To put that in comparison, here's the numbers from the Big 12 games previous to this one. So 52% of your shots came at the rim, okay? 52, you got it? You locked in?
52.
I'm going to work in reverse order. Against Oklahoma, 29% of them. Against Baylor, 35%. Kansas, 35%. Oklahoma State, 33%. Kansas State, 33%. You'd basically been in that 30 to 33% range for every game, and you popped to 52. You were working it really well inside, as evidenced by Jimmy Bell's big game, but he wasn't the only one getting in there. You also had 7 assists on the 15 baskets that came close. So you were about a 47% assist rate, which means what? You're moving the ball and passing the ball.
Right.
So in all honesty, that game, the margin should have been better. West Virginia didn't shoot it well at the rim. It scored most of its baskets close, but it shot just 54% at the rim. Could have had more baskets that it didn't finish with.
What defines an at-the-rim shot? Within what span of distance?
Couple feet, right there.
2 to 3 feet.
Yeah, close.
Well, they needed to shoot well at the rim last night because look at the three-point shooting. They finished at 27% on 4 out of 15. Mm-hmm. If they would have sat back there and chucked and ducked all night, that was an L. That was the way to get to the rim. Caridi and Johnson
But you can see the difference in the win here because they've struggled from 3 in every game in the Big 12, right? But they didn't have an inside game to make up for that. So you make free throws, that's a bucket West Virginia has to do every game. It's going to have to get close to a third of its points, between a quarter and a third of its points from the free throw line. If it does, okay, now you move on to the next thing. If it's not hitting threes, it better get close and finish close. It didn't shoot a great percentage, but it got so many more shots at the rim that you scored points that way. So that made up for the loss of the missed three-pointers.
Yeah. Caridi and Johnson did a fantastic job of getting to the ball to the rim. I mean, that's what he does, right? I mean, he's not going to sit there. Occasionally, he'll hit a shot. Made Jacoby Coles from TCU look embarrassingly bad, right? He made him fall down on that pull-up from just inside the foul line. But for the most part, Kedrian's strength is head to the rim and getting it up there. And he does a good job of contorting himself oftentimes to get that shot up there. And that was his key last night into his big game. Another thing I thought is that the way the whistle blew early in the game to West Virginia's favor and to against TCU impacted TCU. Not only did it put Damian Baugh and Mike Miles, their two starting guards, on the bench with 2 fouls for a little bit. Then Jamie Dixon rolled the dice and put those guys out there because he knew he had to still in the first half because West Virginia had built such a lead. Jamie's saying, like, look, it's like 15 now. If I don't put them back out there, it could be 25, and then I've got no chance. I'd take the chance that these guys pick up a third foul, which eventually they did not. Really get into any significant deep foul trouble, and they did lose a couple of guys late in the game, but they were bigs. So I thought the way the whistle blew, I thought the fact that Jamie picked up an early technical foul, I thought kind of just helped the intangibles of the feel and the momentum of the game. I think it energized the crowd even more, which was fantastic. 11,000 plus for a Wednesday game for a team that had lost 5 in a row in the league. I thought that just it had the feel to me. Even when it got to 62-60, I didn't have that feel that the wall was going to come all the way down. I thought it was leaning, but I thought West Virginia was going to still find a way to win the game.
That might have been the best part of the overall night, not just getting your first win in conference, which you badly needed. The fact that you gave that giant lead back but didn't cave and lose the game. That's impressive for a team that hadn't won, and it would have been very easy to collectively go, here we go again, and then do something that you have a turnover.
Right.
They go down and hit a 3, you're down, and now you're cooked. That team being able to hold the line and say, no, not tonight. Not tonight. That's not happening. We're going to finish. And then add in that you weren't getting the offensive production from Mitchell and Stevenson that you normally need. Then you had Bell and Kedrian Johnson, another step up. Massive in those 2 areas, I thought. You won it without your main offensive guys, and you won it by holding off a really good team that was charging at you.
I don't know what's going to happen, obviously, going forward. I don't know what's going to happen on Saturday. But I think if you would have lost that game after having an 18-point lead, that there would have been mental scar tissue that maybe you would not be able to remove for the rest of this season. Because if you blew an 18-point lead in that game and then Texas comes in and gets you and you go on the road for Texas Tech, I think that you're at a point where the thing could have fallen down. Now you have a bounce about you. Can you find a way to get Texas? I think the environment on Saturday night will be super because Mountaineer fans have now been, you're kind of like dry. You're walking in the desert. You're just looking for a drop of water. That's all you were looking for. And I think Mountaineer fans, they've been walking in the desert here for a while. Things have been real dry, and they were really thirsty, and they were thirsting for a victory. And I think that win, kind of like collectively, probably went to Go-Mart. Probably got one of them bottles, says Go-Mart water, which is as good as the other water that the foo-foo water people sell. But Go-Mart will sell you all. I mean, you want foo-foo, they get you the foo-foo French water, this water, whatever water.
Square bottle, long, thin, right?
Long,
different
blue
shapes,
bottle,
sizes.
green bottle. Yeah, but I'm selling it. Oh, how about the can? They sell that water in the can now, Liquid Death, just water in a can. Or you can get a Go-Mart bottle. So anyway, my point is, whatever can you were using, Go-Mart has it, bottle. Mountaineer fans got their whistle wet by the victory. And I think they come back out on Saturday night now, and they're going to be, it's going to be great energy. That's one aspect. And we'll get into Texas in a second. But you also have the Trey Mitchell aspect, right? Went there last year, didn't end well. He left in season. So where's he? Does he say, okay, fellers, does he stand up to it? Or does it make him uncomfortable? Don't know. That'll be a huge part of the game.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he had a breakout game. Kedrian Johnson's another one to watch. He really struggled from the field in those first few Big 12 games. Now he's starting to get it going a little bit. 50% from the field against Oklahoma. Then he comes back at 62.5% from the field, plus made all those free throws. So that's a huge boost if you can get him going. And he's going to be so important on Saturday from a defensive standpoint again, as we could say every game, because this league's just filled with good guards. You're going to see some more on Saturday. So Johnson defensively and the ability to, doesn't have to get you 20. That's a great bonus if he does. But if he gives you another 80 to 90% from the free throw line and can get there 8-ish times a game, knock down a couple of shots, Kedrian Johnson's one. If you could get him playing consistently well like that, you got a real shot to make some noise.
Man, this the guards in this league, is from a basketball standpoint,
doesn't stop. They just keep coming.
I mean, if you're just a fan, just like to watch, Mike Miles last night, how good is he?
He's one of those, when we talk about, we did it with Keontae George, it just seems really easy for Mike Miles a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like, I need a bucket or I need to get to, here I go.
So he gets 21 on 8 of 12, which is really good. Not a three-point shooter, but to the point, he did have a team-high 6 turnovers in that game. Why? West Virginia heated him up. West Virginia has been struggling with how you defend the ball screen. So since they can't, they just started to double. They just ran 2 guys at him. Early in the game, I think it impacted him.
Mm-hmm.
I think it impacted the team early in the game and forced him to throw it around. So 6 turnovers for him. Now, Saturday, and I said we'll get into it, but Marcus Carr is coming to town, and he is a tough dude. Got a really, really good game, and he is totally unconscious.
41% from 3.
Yeah, he's a gunslinger, and he's a really special player. So that'll be the challenge coming up. But
don't forget, it's not just Marcus Carr.
No,
right?
Timmy Allen.
Tyrese Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Tyrese Hunter took a couple NIL dollars, said, Ames, don't like the winner, not going to deal with you. Headed to Texas for a nice little chunk of change. He's a dude.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Hunter was the freshman of the year in the Big 12 at Iowa State and then jumped to Texas for salary, plain and simple. He made more money, so that's where he went. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think the Iowa State coaching staff was horribly upset for that reason. In other words, they got it. The kid needed money. He could make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, okay, man, that's the way of the world. We get it. So I don't think there's any great animosity there, but that's just the way it is. Yeah, so they got dudes.
That's to say nothing of Sir Jabari Rice.
Excuse me?
Sir Jabari Rice comes in from New Mexico State. He's pretty good, too.
Yeah.
Bigger guard, 6'4".
Now, is he related to Jabari Hines?
Don't think so.
Okay. So that's that. Good animated basketball game last night. Had technical fouls. Both teams ended up taking exactly the same number of foul shots. They almost made exactly the same. West Virginia 20 of 26. TCU 19 of 26. So West Virginia gets the win 74-65. I'll also say this to you. Thought of this last night walking out. We play these guys again pretty soon, like in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The old Mountaineers better
lock in. It's coming.
You got your pound of flesh last night. You go back down there. You better bring your big boy pants because these old boys are going to come at you at about 1.5 Mach, and they're going to get up and down the floor. So you better bring it. If you don't bring it there, they'll run you off the floor.
They will. So that'll be good. That'll be a fun rematch.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not sure Jamie really likes coming in here and losing. I think that probably gets under his skin a little bit, don't you think?
Well, yeah.
I think this is a game that matters to him a little bit.
I think it does. I thought the post-game handshake was interesting. Did you catch it?
Well, Jamie's always really fast.
I know he is.
He's a really fast walker through the line.
He is.
I mean, he's late for a flight walker. Almost like on those things at Pittsburgh Airport where you can just walk right on them.
Moving steps.
Some people stand. Right? Some people stand. You got to get to the right side if you're going to stand. You just want to relax and just go. Others, when you get on there and walk like you're in hyperspeed, like it's kind of a fun walk. That's how Jamie is post-game in handshakes.
Yeah. You know what you do when you get on that moving sidewalk at Pittsburgh? You don't realize how fast you're going if you do walk, and those people do slow you down. So get your butt over to the right side. I'm coming down the left side. But you can line up with someone not on the moving sidewalk. You look over to the right, you're like, okay, I'm getting on this thing now, and you're walking regular. You're not going to use the moving sidewalk, and I'm going to walk. And you just go, and then about 12, 15 steps down, you go peripheral on them. You just look back. They're nowhere to be seen.
Correct.
That's how fast you go on the moving side. That's how Jamie shakes hands.
Correct.
But I think Hugs may have a message for him and may wanted to talk a little bit. I don't think Jamie wanted any of that.
No, I don't think he did. I think he needed to get back to the locker and get on the bus. He's ready to go.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
That's what I mean. I'm not sure Jamie he probably just doesn't want to spend more time in the Coliseum than he has to, is kind of what I took away from that.
Pretty wild. TCU's never won in the building.
Haven't.
0-11. They probably thought that was a good chance.
Which was we talked there in the open about, well, why did I say I thought West Virginia would be favored? Well, first and foremost, because that's how Ken Palm had it listed. And a lot of times Vegas lines follow that to start until they take a bet or two. So it wasn't like I just came up with that on my own. But reading those tea leaves, you could see, okay, there's that. Then you've got, it's just the situational spot was really good for West Virginia, right? We had talked about the luck factor. We had talked about they were a hungry, backed into a corner, caged animal right there. You've got to get a win. They weren't going to just keep losing every game. And you had TCU in a good, which we talk about in football more than basketball, it was a good situational spot. They were coming off of almost a near-perfect game against a really good Kansas State team, having to go on the road to a place they had never won. That's just set up well for West Virginia. The good part for the Mountaineers is taking advantage of all those things. Because that doesn't mean you're going to win. You had a good spot against Baylor, too. Couldn't close the deal and get the win. You did last night against TCU. Massively important win, I think.
To tell you how difficult the league is, so TCU goes over to the greater Clarksburg International Airport after the game, and they fly to Kansas. Mm-hmm. So they're playing there Saturday. So rather than go home and then fly Friday, they went straight there. They're 3-3 in the league. Chances are they don't win on Saturday at Allen Fieldhouse. That's a really good team for TCU. Mm-hmm. They're going to be 3-4 most likely.
That was the other part of this handicap, right? That you got them in a good spot. One of their best performances of the year against a really good team, with Kansas sitting on deck and Allen Fieldhouse, a game that they want badly. It was a good spot for West Virginia last night.
You ready to do Texas?
Mm-hmm.
We now move ahead to the preview of Texas. Thought I'd add a little production value.
Let me put on my nice new reading glasses there that you failed to notice for 4 episodes. Thank you.
May have a text that came in on those.
Thank you. So here's Texas. Interesting with all the drama surrounding them with Chris Beard's situation and ultimately being ousted. They've held the line pretty well too. They've still been very, very good. Seem to be more of an offensive-based team now than a defensive-based team like they were under Beard. So they're second in the Big 12 when it comes to transition again, which is this a good matchup again? Kansas is very good in transition, right? West Virginia held them to 5 fast break points. TCU, excellent in transition. West Virginia handled them. Here comes another team that's very good in transition. Can West Virginia make it 3 for 3? I know you didn't get the win against Kansas, but it wasn't because of their transition offense. So they lead the Big 12 in points per possession in transition, so you're going to have to get back and stop them again. They've been really efficient from 2. Their top 10 field goal percentage offense from 2. So you don't have to worry about the 3 as much unless Carr and Hunter get cranked up. Rice can hit some too, but they really like to get to the basket and get in the lane. They don't do a ton of offensive rebounding, but they turn them into points when they do. They're in the 100th percentile in second chance field goal percentage over the last 5 games. So in Big 12 play, they've been converting at a high level. So good team. They're going to play at both ends. Let's get into some of the keys. You ready? I'm going to give you 3 keys.
3 keys.
Don't turn it over a ton. You've got to watch out for turnovers. Texas is elite in points off turnover. In fact, they're 92nd percentile nationally. So if you turn it over, they're going to turn it into points. It's going to be a long day. You've got to watch that. Free throws, again. West Virginia's 16th nationally in free throw rate against a Texas defense that's bottom 100. They're going to put you on the line. You should get some free throws against Texas. Can you convert? Now, conversely, as we've seen against Baylor and against TCU, West Virginia is going to put you on the line as well. WVU is 341st out of that 361. 360. How many teams are there now? Is it 361 or 362? I'll get that here in a minute. West Virginia is 341st, so bottom 20 nationally in putting the other team on the line. So Texas is going to get some free throws as well. Who shoots it better? Who does better at the line? That's going to be an important key. And again, I will say that throughout the entire year with West Virginia. West Virginia also needs to be able to finish on second shots. The Mountaineers are 85th percentile nationally in offensive rebounds. So this team is slowly starting to become a pretty good offensive rebounding team. But they continue to struggle on second shots. 0 percentile on second shots. They're shooting just 43% from the field on second shots. So you're getting them, and you saw last night you got more shots than TCU did. You've got to get to the point where you start finishing those more. So against Texas, you should be able to get on the offensive glass. Can West Virginia finish and put them back? You're going to have to. There's 3 keys.
It's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Oh, I got one more. Not a key, but just an interesting stat. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Texas continues to lead the Big 12 in percentage of time that they have an unguarded catch-and-shoot jumper. 56% of their catch and shoot jumpers are unguarded, which tells you they're probably passing it pretty well, right? They're swinging it and getting that open shot. 56%. West Virginia is completely flipped. 63% of West Virginia's catch and shoots are guarded. So not passing it as well, not swinging it as well. So West Virginia's being forced into more difficult shots. So one of the reasons you wonder why West Virginia's struggling a little bit from 3, look at that number. They're being guarded more on those catch and shoot shots than Texas is. So you better get out and close out shooters.
What does Ken Palm's computer say the result will be based on what happened last night?
He has this as a Texas loss.
Excuse
by
me?
1.
Excuse me?
He has Texas losing the game.
That changed. Right? That's changed.
Did that one change?
I don't think he had that.
Had Baylor as a win.
You think they had
can't remember. I can't remember that. It was close. It was 1 or 2 points either way.
So what's he have West Virginia finishing now? Yesterday it was set before the TCU game. Still 7 league wins?
You stole one. Yeah, you got 7. You got one back.
So he has them at 7
6.
still?
It's 7, yeah.
Oh, it went to 6.
Yeah, it had been to 6 and it bounced up to 7.
No, I thought last I saw he had 7.
So you gained one because you probably didn't think you were going to beat TCU. So you're still, I said I wasn't going to talk about NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I don't want you to.
Still not going to talk about NCAA tournament, but you're.
Let's put together halves and games and then talk about that.
Win Texas, though. Go and get Texas. So that means, again, if you're looking at that, you very well could be favored against Texas. Right? You're off a win. You get a point or 2. Now, what they'll have to factor in is they put Texas as a dog, but they get flooded with dog money. So depends on what money they want to take in. But West Virginia, won't shock me if West Virginia's favored again against Texas.
Too early for you to have a feel? As far as the result goes, or
I'll say the same thing I said against Baylor and I said against TCU. I think you're right there. Again, you do those keys and you tell me you're going to shoot 75% from the line and you tell me you're going to get on the offensive glass and win that battle and you tell me they're not going to have one of those games where they have 12 or 13 threes on you, I think you're right there. And then it comes down to a coin flip game, as so many of these have. But you come in and you shoot 62% from the line, or you miss them in key moments, or you're turning it over too much, then you're going to be in some trouble.
What are we going to do with Eric Stevenson?
Hope this is the game that he breaks out.
Samson got his hair. Samson got his haircut.
He did. I tried to tell Kercheval when he was screaming about him. I said, just let it go. It is what it is. You got to let it ride a little bit. I thought last night was going to be the breakout night. He started off hot. Started off well, right? Had 7 early.
Made his first 2 shots.
Yeah, had 7 early. I thought, okay, there you go. Stevenson's breaking out there. And then it didn't materialize. So maybe this is a game Saturday where it does.
Yeah. Need to have it happen. I think it's also, agree with you, he's going to regress to his mean.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to stay where he is. You could see it's in his head. He is fighting in his head.
Yeah.
He's at a point now where he doesn't know whether to pass it or to shoot it, or whether to shoot it or to pass it. And then he passed it, and he committed 4 turnovers, and Huggs' head got about as red as Corky the Clown's nose. I mean, my boy Huggs, he went Old Testament on him. Fire and the brimstone. As PO'd as he's been, because he knows what's in Stevenson and his ability, and he also knows he needs him really, really badly.
Yes.
And right now, Eric's just like, He's just in the thing. It's just a slump.
He's unsure.
He's unsure.
He's playing unsure, and you if you don't have that confidence and you're not completely sure, especially him, that was the key to his game early on. He wasn't hesitating. He wasn't thinking about it. He wasn't thinking, should I pull from three here or make the pass like you've seen. He was just firing, right? He was just playing.
Absolutely.
And that's lost a little bit. And if there was some health issues, if he had some breathing issues that Hugs mentioned, so there's that factored into it as well. But he'll pop back. It would be nice if that came Saturday because you're going to need him and Mitchell, as we said.
How about Mo Wagee?
Good early.
But how about him last night late not shooting the ball?
Yeah, when he caught it, he kicked it right back out.
Wow.
Which worked. Scared me for a second. It was almost a turnover because I don't think Stevenson thought it was coming back out to him. But it worked. I mean, you ran some more clock off there and you didn't need the bucket. So it was high basketball IQ play, as they often say.
I can't wait to see him. I want to ask him if that's what he was thinking. I just wonder.
Well, he had to be because he had a catch and a layup or just drop it in.
That's pretty good. That's graduate level of understanding because what do most guys do? Go put their head on the rim, right? I liked it.
That would have been okay if he would have put his head on the
rim.
rim.
I understand. And also, I got to go see Hugs here in a little bit. Why did Hugs lose his mind on our last possession when we just voluntarily took the turnover?
I don't know, but was Kedrian Johnson trying to settle him down, telling him we're just going to win?
He just laughed at him. He just laughed at him.
Hugs, we're all right, we got it.
He goes, dude, we're going to win the game. That's what he said. Like, I was just watching him. He goes, Hugs, we're going to win the game. You're losing your mind on 4 seconds here. What are we doing?
Now, Hugs did kind of give him a little smirk chuckle there, which you don't see very often with the clock still running.
No.
You got a chance against Texas.
Yes. Texas games are emotional for West Virginia. Remember we had that little dust-up last year? 82-81. Remember the guy got DQ'd?
Oh, yeah.
He's back.
Yeah. He's been there a long time.
I think he was there when Penders was there. Good Tom Penders reference.
You think he played with T.J. Ford?
T.J. Ford, yeah, absolutely. He was there for the one season of Durant. All right, here we go. And it is Textual Healing. Got a new song coming in the next, I think, week to 10 days. We'll release a new song from producer David Saab.
What? You got a new song coming?
Yep.
Awesome.
Guess who it's about?
Taylor?
It's not about Taylor. It's not about me. It's not about Hoppy. That's all I'll say at this point. No further comment. 3 guys before the game brought to us by Comax Business Systems, Gomart, and Burdett Camping. And don't forget, if you would like to taste Hoppy Kirchhoff, it is available now at the following locations. At the Briar Garden in Lewisburg, Varsity Club here in Morgantown, Von Blaze here in Morgantown, at Big Sandy, Lefty's, Black Bear, get yourself a big burrito, Kegler's, Jeans, and the Tap Room, all selling Kirchhoff. I had the opportunity yesterday at lunch to host John Denton, the color analyst for the TCU radio network. Well, Senator was there.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to taste it because he saw the social media pics that we put out there, the Kirchhoff ceremony and the whole thing. He went over.
I mean, it is a craft beer that's sweeping the state, so he visited the state, wanted to partake.
And said, I got to bring my wife back here.
Yeah.
So what did he? I mean, you were there when he popped it. What'd you think? I think he liked it.
5-star review.
He said this is a beer you could drink all year long.
Yeah, said it'd be great in the summer, a little citrusy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he liked it. I think he liked it a lot. Okay, so let's jump in here. Coming out of the last episode, I guess it can be termed the Hoppy Rant segment, and there were several people that wrote texts about Hoppy's rant. And you get the general theme. There may be a couple, 3, 4 of these that didn't make it in because basically they were all saying the same thing. And the thing was that they agreed with Hoppy's rant on how Hugs handled the termination of Larry Harrison. And I'll just read a couple of these. 3 guys. John from Nashville. Hoppy, thank you for skillfully articulating what many of us Mountaineer family were wondering regarding Larry Harrison's situation. I love the fact that you have the chutzpah to surface how poorly this departure was handled. I find it very curious that Tony and Brad offered no commentary after your courageous statement. Next texter says, Hoppy's monologue regarding the state of the basketball program and the handling of Larry Harrison's situation hit the nail on the head for me. Just blah. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for being a man of the people, Hoppy. Dustin and Beckley writes, more major kudos to Hoppy for Monday's rant. Nice to see a member of the West Virginia media pull no punches. As the highest paid employee in the state, Bob owes the fans at least the courtesy of explaining why he made an unprecedented change halfway through the season, Dustin and Beckley. And you're getting the general theme here. And the last one, just listen to your Monday podcast. After Hoppy discussed the termination of Larry Harrison and how poorly it was handled, I listened to 10 seconds of radio silence, and then let's talk about TCU. What a remarkable show of cowardice from Tony and Brad. I expected a little more integrity, but sadly, none was forthcoming. I assume from the display of lack of journalistic ethics, I will have to find another source of news about WVU athletics from real journalists who are not afraid to ask the hard questions and report the truth. I expected more. So,
who was that one from? Was that Dustin?
Did not sign a name.
Oh, okay.
So, here you go, man. From my perspective, for those of you that don't quite understand what my role is, it's a very unique role. And my role is that I work here and have done that for a long time. And I do this show. And I work here and do Sportsline. And then I also work for the university doing MSN-related stuff. So you must understand that from my perspective, that is not my place to jump onto Bob Huggins or Neil Brown or whatever. That's not what I do, and that's not who I am. And to be quite honest with you, that would be insubordinate in that role because I have a dual role. I think that you have to understand the other part of this is that you said, I expected more integrity. They assume from the display of a lack of journalistic ethics, I will have to find another source of news about WVU athletics from real journalists. Okay, let's pull that one apart. If you were intending to listen to or watch Meet the Press, then you were sadly mistaken as to what this is. This is infotainment. This is information and entertainment. And my goal, and I think Brad's goal, and Hoppy to an extent, is to give you some information and to entertain you along the way. And so if we get a text from somebody who says, I travel a bunch, I work all the time, and you guys put a smile on my face, or I've got a lot of stuff going on in my life, and you guys are the thing that makes me happy and smile, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. But if you're looking for Edward R. Murrow, this isn't it, dude. And I never pretend to be Johnny Journalist. And that's the reality. So that's just it. That's the simple part of this thing. If you're coming here for that, go find somewhere else and good luck finding it. And go ahead, man, leave, because that's not coming. So my silence after what Hoppy said was intended silence. I had nothing to say. I had nothing to add, zero. And if you were looking for confirmation bias for me to jump on there and say, that's exactly right, Hoppy, wasn't coming. Now, in hindsight, did Hugs handle that in a perfect way? Absolutely not. Absolutely didn't. But that's not my call. That's not my call. He's his own dude. He handled it the way he wanted to handle it, and that's that. So if we've lost a Three Guys listener who's nameless, sorry. Meanwhile,
well, hold on. Now I got to address it. Now I can't be the only one that doesn't address it now, since I was called a coward as well. So I probably need to address it for now the third time. Can I address it?
Cowardice.
So I will just reiterate what I said the night, an hour after it happened. I hosted Sportsline and we addressed it for the first segment. I then went on Hoppy's show the next day and said the same thing. And yeah, that was not handled in an ideal manner. And I'm sure all involved in that, if they were going back again, would do it a little bit different. I said at the time, the timing was extremely odd. You don't normally see assistant coaches removed during the season. But then I also added, Tony, when you lose at the rate that West Virginia was losing over the last couple of years, of course there's going to be changes, right? People are on here screaming all the time about football changes, and it hasn't lost at the level that basketball has the last couple of years. So was I shocked that there were changes made? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Would you like to hear from Hugs? Sure. But as you said, that's his decision. If you don't like it, that's fine to criticize that too. But that's up to Ren Baker, Gordon Gee, and those to make those statements. So was I surprised there were changes? No. Was I surprised at the timing? Absolutely 100%. And I said that on Sportsline immediately after, and Hoppy's show the next day. Didn't say it on here. Sorry the nameless guy didn't get to hear those other two shows. Sorry.
You think he was being a coward for not mentioning his name?
No, not at all. Okay. We're the only cowards, not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Texter, good morning, Three Guys. First, I want to thank you.
Can we go on to some other messages now? Is that?
Yeah, we got to go
to bed now.
We got to go quick too. First, guys, I want to thank you for all you do to keep us entertained through such a lull in our performance on the playing fields. With that said, a little bit disconcerting about all this talk of not getting to 800 episodes.
We're not.
I viewed you more like a classic rock band. If they lose a great guitarist or the drummer, they simply find a replacement for whoever left. Bands like Jethro Tull, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, gone through 20 different members still touring and making music. Like them, podcasts would simply go on. The replacement talent. In your thoughts, if you were replaced on the show, who would you want it to be or think it could be? Lastly, I agree with Hoppy. It does feel surreal being in last in the standings. The only list West Virginia should be in last place when talking about the Big 12 is when they list it alphabetically. That's Fitty, born in Fairmont, now upstate New York. Texter, I text this before the TCU game. I feel that this could change. People are down on the team, but they're very close. Late mistakes have to be fixed, but I think we pull out a tough win this week. Look at this guy. Joey B. in Princeton.
Got one of them, Joey.
Way to go, Joey. Can you provide, this is J.D. Southern Coalfields, can you provide insight into the offensive coordinator hiring process given the length of time it took? I was expecting the hire to come from outside. Brown was pretty much told to hire an up-and-coming hotshot coordinator last year and fix the offense. I get the feeling that there was a guy or two from outside who got offered the job but turned it down for whatever reason, which led to the long search. I wish Chad's got nothing but success. Hope he becomes the next hotshot coordinator, but I fear a return to the offensive mediocrity that preceded Graham Harrell's hiring. On the bright side, Lee Scott, as the running backs coach, has been able to keep his talent from entering the portal and has consistently recruited very good players. If he can do that for the rest of the offense, that would be a great start while he adjusts to being solo OC. Love the show, JD from the Southern Coalfields. I think that the reason it took longer is because Neil wants to make sure that he has his hand on top of this offense, as we said in the past. Here's the deal, man. Like, it's not a surprise to Neil that he knows he has to win this coming season. Like, he knows, right? He gets it. And I think what he's saying is, if this is that moment where this program under my watch is going to be deemed success or failure, you better bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to have my hand in it, because I'm going down with my gun shooting and not someone else's gun shooting. That's the deal.
And I think we should all be so lucky to be in that position. That right? If you're going to get run, you get run because of what you did, not because of what somebody else did.
Yeah.
So I'm with him on that. And listen, here's the thing, guys. Let's be upfront about this too. And I've said this a million times. The situation that program was put in with that circus at the end of the year with the Shane Lyons firing and then no announcement about his job status for a couple of weeks there, that added to the difficulty. That added to the difficulty in getting guys out of the portal. It added to the difficulty of talking to assistant coaches that may be interested in the job, because you don't have a definitive answer to what your job status is. And if you're assistant coach, you don't have the big giant buyouts that these head coaches do. So you've got to be thinking 2 steps ahead. And we talk all the time about resetting your clock and getting to a place where you know a coach has time. And you just didn't know that. If I was an offensive coordinator interested in this program and this school, that would give me pause. I don't know what Neil's status is. No one has said. You said nothing for 2 weeks, and then all that has been said since is we're going to evaluate in the coming year. Well, that's not a ringing endorsement if I'm an assistant looking to move my entire family here. So I think that adds to the process as well.
Curtis in Portland. Hello. As Brad rocked his new eyewear in episode 434, I couldn't help but think the generous listener who hooked him up with those sweet specs was none other than the free throw shooting expert Buddy Holly from episode 433. Either way, those look, pretty good.
Thank you, Curtis.
Texter. Gentlemen, rough couple of years in major sports, huh? Consequently, with all due respect, the recent episodes have had the same level of upbeat optimism and excitement as when Old Yeller got shot or John Coffey was executed in the Green Mile again. With all due respect, with that said, I'll keep it light. Been a lot of talk about mowers in the past, and with that being a West Virginia connection, I can't believe you guys haven't talked about the Gravely mowers, which I have one. That started in Dunbar by Ben Franklin Gravely. Awesome machines, not even getting an NIL deal for this. Lastly, that friggin' textual healing has now become the song I think of when hearing the real deal of the song on the radio. With all due respect to Marvin Gaye, I can't begin to tell you the 7 layers of hell a man goes through when he has to explain to his wife why he thinks of 3 grown men in West Virginia when sexual healing comes on. So thanks for that. But as always, thanks for doing the Lord's work. Philip, I have some land in Tampa.
Of course. What's that mower company?
Gravely, they're good mowers too.
Are they?
Yeah, they're good.
DMs are open for an NIL deal. Because mine still has the hood up in the garage. Probably will through the summer.
Are we going to beg for a lawnmower?
I might be. I told you, if my guy wouldn't enter the transfer portal, if I could have had if the collective would have done its job and had some money in the fund, I could have paid the landscaper to stay and not depart. Couldn't compete. My collective did a terrible job of having the resources.
Let me get a deal for you. Hang on. If you are a lawnmower distributor and you'd like to do an NIL deal with Brad, here's the deal. You can contact us through the text line. We'll do the deal. Brad will get your mower. He will take pictures of himself on the mower, and he will post social media about the mower. And he'll make an appearance at your mower store. Open now. First come, first serve. But don't be coming up. But
it's got to be a good one.
I was going to say,
because I don't want to be in this situation again where I've got a second mower in my garage, which is already running out of room. I can't have a second mower with the hood up. I got to have one that works in perpetuity.
Quality mower. Janie in Charleston. In regards to championship rings, I had the privilege of trying on this Glenville State women's basketball championship ring. As you can see, they are enormous.
That's what I'm saying. Enormous.
Janie in Charleston. There you go, Janie. By the way,
that's a nice looking ring.
Arnold, the bus driver, called to trump you.
Yeah, what's he got?
He said, Big Brad's got a championship ring, huh? You tell him I got a ring from Kim Mulkey and Scott Drew. He's got 2 national championship rings.
I mean, he's got more rings than Gino does. Arnold. Doesn't surprise me.
Arnold's got Scott Drew gave a championship.
Arnold probably drew up some plays in the championship game of each.
Spreads, scopes,
By the way, will you remind me to bring my ring in to show
Yes.
Hoppy.
Yeah.
But it's not as big as the Glenville one.
I understand. That's
a nice ring.
You got to wear that one on a necklace.
That's nice.
Right? I did some digging, writes Noah in El Paso, from the previous question to see if both football and basketball have ever had 2 consecutive losing seasons together in the same 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, never in the history of WVU athletics has that ever happened for those 2 sports. We are upon dark times if basketball does not turn around. Texter, Harrison County checking in when I received intelligence reports from the local beer drinking community that indicated Chestnut Brew products are rarely found south of Morgantown. I resolved to undertake a mission to obtain a Kirchhoff Ale in its home territory. On Friday, the 13th of January, I landed in the flagship establishment to purchase a growler. The courteous bartender indicated that growlers were not available, but cans were. I purchased said beer in a 32-ounce can complete with handwritten label. See the picture above. There he is. I am waiting for a suitable occasion or victory to open and sample. Look at that beer can.
I think if we get to the point that this is in cans, which is probably inevitable, it should look like that. Might just do that for the label.
Tell you what, they're sparing no expense on that tape, are they?
That's awesome.
I've always wondered with CL in Clarksburg. CL, maybe you cracked that open after the TCU win last night, buddy. Maybe you did. Look at that. Look at the level of sophistication. They write Hoppy's name on there, 4.7 alcohol, and they date it.
Awesome.
That's a good beer, a good cold beer.
Well done, boys.
Texter, fellows, I do not drink. However, for Lent, should I give up sober living to enjoy some Kirchhoff Ale? I might help cope the Mountaineers' recent woes. Reminds me of what my former boss and late John Gianola once said. I have 2 vices, coffee and the Mountaineers, and I only give up one for Lent.
No, just hang tight. We're efforting other offshoots. Is that fair? Or did I just pull you and overextend and overpromise and overstate something?
No, we're good. Texter. Oh, I know what I need to say. In all seriousness, like he said, so distribution. If you go to a place that serves craft beers and you think they would like to carry Kirchhoff Ale, text us. Tell us who it is, where it is, and we will effort to get it down there. So that's straight up. Legit. Charleston got it? There's nothing in Charleston yet.
I don't think so.
Texter.
I think Greenbrier County there at the well-known Briar Garden.
Texter, is there ever a chance that the NCAA would make a rule where you can either take a scholarship or NIL, but not both? Or maybe a scholarship plus any other school-sponsored NIL deals, jersey sales, but none from third parties. So basically what he's saying is cut the middleman out, the collective out. We've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Texter, hey guys, Brian in Williamstown haven't had much to say from the last few games that hasn't already been said. I got to make some free throws, get more movement on offense. I just wanted to say I had a blast at the Kirchhoff Ale event a few weeks ago, and I'm about to have some more Kirchhoff Ale before tuning into the TCU game. So he's drinking it. I'm shocked nobody has thrown Hoppy under the bus yet. With all due respect, how in the world were you late getting to the bar for your own beer unveiling? We're all sitting there waiting, ready to go, and who couldn't be found? The man of the hour. Typical Hoppy, just so typical. All in good fun. I'm glad to have been there. Met some great folks. Killer barbecue. Here's to hoping the beer makes the TCU game more enjoyable or helps dull away yet another loss. Growler picture, please. I guess I'll find on the next episode of this stupid podcast. So there he was. He corked it.
He got it all. The cup, too. The Hoppy Hour cup.
Oh, yeah, he's used a
glass.
Hoppy Hour cup, yeah.
The growler.
Yeah.
And a win.
Yeah. Texter, Phil from Perryopolis. The first half tonight could have been sold at Sotheby's. A work of art. The second half, clip art. Not pretty, got the job done.
Good, great clip art reference. That's a great clip art reference.
That was even better. Not pretty, but got the job done. Bell was huge playing big man ball. Texter, guys, wow of a game from Jimmy Bell. One of Keaty's best games, both ends. Thought of texting at the half, and that must have been enough to cause the second half slump. Thankful I didn't follow through. Let's go. Charlie, Midlothian. Great win against TCU. Glad that Hugs had Keaty shoot the technicals. Texter writes, I got a Charles Barkley story. Not your dog, Tony, but the player, the commentator, hugs his fish fry guest. This would have been easier to send as an email, but I was afraid it would fall into the Caridi crevice.
Good decision.
Or crevasse. Here's a story. I'm flying back to Philadelphia from Phoenix during my DuPont career. Another colleague and I were seated in the first 2 aisle seats, first class. The window seat beside my friend was open at the time, and I asked the flight attendant if I could take it so I could converse with the colleague. He said that was not his decision. I acknowledged, moved over there, and said I would ask the person assigned if they showed up. Right after that, I noticed the flight attendant was walking down the jetway. He leaned over to me and said, "You're in Charles Barkley's seat. You're going to have to ask him about swapping." About that time, Sir Charles comes sauntering down the jetway, mumbling to himself. I introduced myself, told him what I wanted to do. He gave a big smile and said he really appreciated the offer since he had been complaining about being cramped up against the bulkhead for that 5-hour flight. Proceeded to take my seat on the aisle. He stretched out his long legs, slept all the way to Philadelphia with a newspaper over his face. Once we landed, he thanked me again. Tell him I said hello. Charles did not want the bulkhead. He thought that would be just horrible. Stephen from Wheeling. Question for Brad. Is there a website that tracks advanced stats for individual college players? I know there are multiple websites that do this for teams as a whole, but I'm looking for one that tracks each player.
KenPom does that, kenpom.com. It's, again, that's part of a paid service. We haven't talked much about it this year, but that evanmaya.com is really good. There's a lot of information on there. So, Stephen, maybe start with that one first. Evan does a tremendous job with lineup combinations, individual players. There's a ton of stuff on there for free. So maybe start there and see if that's the stuff you're looking for.
Texter, let's make sure Jimmy Bell wears number 43 the rest of the season, but can someone explain how we are number 19 offensively in Ken Pom? I don't think we've hit a 3 since Hoppy matriculated at WVU. Yeah, Jimmy had to wear a different jersey because he got blood on his other one. Texter, Scope, Spreads, and the GOAT. I'm listening to Jamie Dixon's post-game press conference. Keeps going on about how physical West Virginia was tonight. Finally, I feared that we were headed toward a repeat of last season's collapse. That said, it feels like this year's team is starting to get it together. I really hope that we can string together enough conference wins to get us into the big dance. P.S. Hoppy's monologue last episode about the release of Larry Harrison is what makes him the GOAT. Kudos to you, Mr. Kirchhoff, for continuing to speak to the hearts and minds of Mountaineer Nation. You and the other two fantastic have an open invitation to hunt with us on our family's land in Mason County anytime.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you for the offer, but I'm a retired hunter. Brian and Hurricane. A recurring question among Mountaineer fans is whether you can remember a time when both football and basketball were going through down years at the same time. I came to WVU as a freshman in 77. From 77 to 79, both programs were struggling. Football, with the likes of Robert Alexander, Fulton Walker, Walt Easley, Delbert Fowler, went 5-6, 2-9, 5-6. Meanwhile, basketball goes 12-16, 16-12, 15-14, with the like of Lowe's Moore, Mo Robinson, and Junius Lewis. Then things began to turn around in 80 when Don Nealon and Gail Catlett, fortunately. I was around until 84 for law school. On a much better note, I was at the College Football Hall of Fame, New Year's Eve. Ran into Coach Nealon, who told me it was his first time visiting. What a great man and ambassador for WVU. Let's go Mountaineers. Donnie Yen at the College Football Hall of Fame on New Year's.
We got to get him back in. We need to have a little Donnie Yen time. I miss talking to him.
He's the best. Texter. I'm behind an episode, but listening to the TCU preview, loving the new Everyman Hoppy post-Kirchhoff. 3 guys. With all the talk of a need of being relevant again in the national conversation, Pat McAfee recently had Coach Prime on his show. Pat slipped in what he would have loved to see Deion come to Morgantown. Deion notes that it wouldn't have happened due to his one belief that he would need to change to come here, and 2, he would not have the ability to win here. It was a reality check for what we stand in the national conversation. I've enclosed the clip as well. Keep efforting. Well, I think that here's the deal, dude. No. Like for some coaches, they would love to come to West Virginia. Does it fit for Deion Sanders? No. Would he fit here? No, because he'd have to change. Would West Virginia fans want him and his, the way he's going to do it? Not necessarily. I don't think there'd be a great fit there. But, this is a hard program. That's the one thing he's right. It's hard to win. He didn't think he could win here. There are other coaches they thought they could win here. Don Nehlen thought he could win here, right? You can win here. They've won here. Won a hell of a lot more games than Colorado's won in its history. You can win at West Virginia, but not everyone fits. So good self-awareness on his part.
Mm-hmm.
Texter, greeting to the clowns. We all love to hear from that stupid podcast. Sean and Raleigh. Whew, not going to lie. I had my Here We Go Again WVU fan on last. Let me read this in English. I had my Here We Go Again WVU fan hat on last night, but they got it done despite modest nights from Stevenson and Mitchell. Mitchell got the quick T last night because he was right. Anyway, good win. Beat Texas. Last week, I happened upon the Dave Pash podcast. Highly recommend the Frank Caliendo episode. Lots of Ron Wolfley mentions. Pash asked for guest ideas at the end. I'm thinking of suggesting Hoppy. 3 reasons. 1, the namesake for the most sought-after beer in the land. 2, the national story that CBS This Morning told. And 3, the real feelings and long-standing animosity, if any, over the great Boston Beanery gift card incident. I realize this note is a bit of a dud if Tony and Brad opt out for a Thursday recording, but that's the way it goes sometimes. There you go.
Good one, Sean.
I talked to Pashy yesterday. He was in Denver, did the Nuggets game last night. He said he was doing, I think, Colorado, Washington tonight, without Bill Walton.
Which you don't know if he still harbors any ill feelings over the $5 Beanery gift card, though, do you?
I think he remembers. I think it sticks with him.
Yeah.
Right now, it's. I mean,
how could it not stick?
What do they say? Time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you forget, though.
No. Texter, Rusty in Monroe County. Let's go. I never gave up, never will. Great effort, great win. Jamie Dixon has skunk hair. Taylor, you want to put that picture up? You didn't get that? Oh. Anyway, the guy sent a picture of, remember Pepe Le Pew? Skunk.
I don't think.
You don't remember him?
I don't think.
Yeah.
Before my time.
He had a big white thing there. Jamie, I give Jamie credit. He's not dying that thing, right? Jamie's just letting it go. So I give him credit on that.
I mean, you're saying that to me, the way mine looks?
Well, no. I'm just saying,
Well, you never gave me credit for not dying.
Mine's getting gray.
It is what it is.
Mine's getting gray. Can you tell mine's getting gray?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it should. You're significantly older than I am, and I've beat you to the gray.
Yeah. Buddy of mine got gray in high school. High school. Completely gray.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, you know him.
Hmm.
Yeah. He's pretty close to the Briar Garden. Soup.
Oh.
Soup Campbell was completely gray in high school.
Didn't know that.
Heck, and he owns it.
It is what it is.
I mean,
That's
Soup
what I
owns
say.
it. I mean, when you're in high school and you go gray, right? You with me? Well, the easiest thing to do would be what? Dye it. Okay, color it up. I'm in high school. Not Soup Campbell. He said, I am who I am. Right?
I like that. It is what it is.
Yeah, he
Kinda
rolls
like
his own.
Granville Waiters from Ohio State used to. Remember? He was a guy that had a receding hairline in college. He said, screw it. I'm just going with it. I'm going to drop 20 on you. I don't care what you say.
West Virginia connection, of course.
The Granville Waiters?
Mm-hmm.
All-time great name, too.
Hugs' brother played with Granville Waiters.
Huh.
Larry Huggins played at Ohio State with Granville Waiters.
He's a good player.
Yeah, that's when Eldon Miller was coaching him, right?
I'm well aware of Eldon
Yeah,
Miller. Yeah.
yeah.
Also coached at the University of Northern Iowa.
Yeah, Granville Waiters definitely, Granville Waiters was the Perry Ellis of that era.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like he was 37,
playing
40.
at the Y.
Play at the Y.
Yeah.
When he really was.
He was good. Eldon Miller was the college coach for Nick Nurse, the world champion Toronto Raptors, of course.
Absolutely. So that's good. All right, so here's the dealioski. On Monday, we be coming back, and we'll break down Saturday's contest against the Longhorns of Texas, and then West Virginia travels Tuesday, plays Wednesday at Texas Tech, then comes back, and they've got Auburn. That SEC thing deal's never gone well for the Mountaineers.
No, it has not.
It's not gone well. They're
That'd
good.
That'd
They're
be a
good
nice
again.
win. That'd be a good win to get. That'd be a good NCAA tournament win.
Resume.
Now,
I know we're not talking. We're not
talking about NCAA
We're
tournament.
stacking quarters and games.
Just looking ahead, one game at a time. Although that'd be a good win over Auburn if you can get it for the resume.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, once again, if you'd like to have Kurt Javale sold at your favorite establishment, just send us a line on the text line. Tell us where, and we'll effort that. 304-404-4086, 304-404-4086. Oh, there it is. Oh, wrong number. 304-404-4083. Thank you, Taylor. 304-404-4083. Hey, what's the last two numbers? Just keep guessing. 304-404-4083 if you want the beer at your place. Three guys before the game brought to us by Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. If you're going to buy one, why would you go anywhere else when you get a warranty that lasts forever? By Comax Business Systems, West Virginia's premier business opportunity center for you, whether it's equipment, whether it's managed IT, managed voice, they got it, ComaxWV.com. And by GoMart. Go for GoMart. Go for good times. You can go for GoMart at GoMart.com. Get that rewards card and start saving dollars.
I wonder if they've got the Reese Easter eggs out yet. Probably do, right? We're getting close. No, Valentine's hearts. Hearts would be up next.
Exactly.
I forget they do them every holiday.
Slow it
Reese
down.
does every holiday. So
yeah, slow it down.
It used to just be the Reese eggs, so you had to get them into the market a little bit earlier. Now they've wisened up and have every holiday. But they have those there.
Yeah, but they're not.
Because the peanut butter to chocolate ratio is really, really
high.
good.
This is a high level.
It's well documented.
Exactly right. All right, thanks for being with us. We be out. See you.